the first piece on the program is by Anton Webern. And if you know his music, you probably associate him with the so-called Second Viennese School, which was inspired about 100 years ago by the writings and the teachings and the serialist theories of Arnold Schoenberg. And his two primary disciples were Alban Berg and Anton Webern. And Berg's music is very lush and sort of post-romantic, and Webern's mature music is quite the opposite. It tends to be radically concise and epigrammatic and very mathematically precise. That was his way of realizing these atonal serialist theories of Schoenberg. And if you tend not to like this kind of music, then you will be surprised, I think, and pleasantly so, by this very lush, romantic string quartet that we are about to hear. He wrote it in 1905. He was about 21 years old at that time. And as I said earlier, he was inspired by the deep feelings of love and passion that he had for a young woman who was to become his wife. Her name was Mina Mertel. And around the time that he wrote this piece, they had just come back from a hiking trip in the Alpine regions of Austria. And while he was doing this, he kept a diary. And I thought I would read you just a couple of short paragraphs because it really gives you a sense of the state of mind he was in at the time that he wrote this piece we're about to hear. He said, "To walk forever like this among the flowers with my dearest one beside me, to feel so entirely at one with the universe, without care, free as the lark in the sky above, oh, what splendor. When night fell after the rain and the sky shed bitter tears, I wandered with her along a road, a coat protecting the two of us. Our love rose to infinite heights and filled the universe. Two souls were enraptured." And so this love-besotted voice with which he wrote into his diary is really the same love-besotted musical voice with which he wrote this piece. And given the tone of that diary entry, you would think that as soon as they got back to Vienna after this hiking trip, they must have run off to the priest and been married. In fact, they were not married for another 6 years. And the reason for this is that she was his first cousin. She was the daughter of his mother's sister. And for that reason, both of their parents and also the Catholic Church looked seriously askance at this relationship. And so they just kept it to themselves for 6 years. And finally, in 1911, they said, let's get married anyway, which they did. And this picture you've been looking at was taken in 1912 with the first of their ultimately 4 children. And the fact that he kept it a secret, this relationship, for such a long time is reflected in the fact that he kept this piece that we're about to hear, this tribute to this relationship, a secret, and even for a longer time. As a matter of fact, he never revealed it at all. He didn't publish it during his lifetime. It was never performed. He just squirreled it away. And finally, well over half a century later, it was discovered in the attic of a house outside of Vienna by a musicologist who sent it off to Seattle, Washington, and it was premiered at last in 1962 at a concert series there. And the fact that we didn't even know of this piece until 57 years after he wrote it and 17 years after he died is fascinating, but the piece itself, I think you'll find, is very touching and very lyrical and very beautiful. I've heard it described as Tristan and Isolde in 10 minutes. So enjoy this early piece by Anton Webern dedicated to his love for Mina Mertel, and I'll be back in about 10 minutes to tell you a little bit about Borodin's piece dedicated to his own wife, Ekaterina.